dans notre diffusion Informé et Libre, Informé et Libre. On a une invitée tout à fait spéciale, son nom c'est Faytene et elle est connue, c'est une personnalité connue au niveau du Canada, surtout dans le monde des conservateurs, le monde évangélique du côté ouest canadien. Elle a son émission de télévision qui s'appelle Shaping the Nation, former la nation ou emmener une réforme à la nation en tant que telle. Et donc ça c'est une émission qui est très écoutée. Sa mission, c'est vraiment d'amener une conscience, une conscientisation par rapport à comment est-ce qu'un citoyen canadien ou québécois peut avoir une influence malgré ce qui se passe en politique. Beaucoup de personnes sont tombées dans ce qu'on appelle le cynisme. Beaucoup de personnes ne croient plus qu'ils peuvent faire quelque chose parce qu'ils ont vu trop de preuves, trop de signes de corruption ou de double jeu par rapport à tout ce qui est politique. Par contre, elle aimerait nous parler un peu de qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire quand même pour avoir une certaine incidence sur la suite des choses. Donc, on l'a aujourd'hui. Elle est mère de 2 enfants. Elle est mariée, bien entendu. Avec nous, Faytene. Faytene, welcome.
Hello, Carlos. It's such a joy to be here today.
Thank you. It's a mighty joy and a pleasure and also an honor to have you here at Informé et Libre, informed and free. And today, I'd like you to take your time to explain to us what is in your heart. We know today, in terms of what's happening in the country regarding abortions, we could go, because there's no laws on abortion today, so the abortion can take place actually seconds before birth. Right now in Canada, there's no consequences to that. We're seeing more and more pastors getting arrested because of their convictions, because of their values, their faith values, etc., or their freedom to religion. We see that the debt actually doubled here in Canada in the past 2 years with this present government. We also see that there's different policies encouraging and helping people to die instead of helping people to thrive, live, and survive. We're seeing also different things happening in terms of the abuse of power. When we look at the truckers movement that we had these past months with the truckers right there in Ottawa, and some other places in Canada, but especially in Ottawa, and the actual the Emergencies Act was called upon for a peaceful gathering in Ottawa. This is something incredible that we're seeing in this nation happening. We're also seeing a lot of these rights that we have to be able to go from one place to another, the rights to mobilize or just to use transportation freely is being affected. Now we need some type of passport, the vaccinal passport, for example, to be able to travel even from one province to another by plane. And so when we look at all these things, one may ask the question, how can we make a difference? How can we bring about more than a dent in the system to see change?
Yes.
And so I've got it in contact with the information that here in Quebec, there's a peculiar power that we have as voters or as citizens because of the points that we may have when we do vote. It actually exceeds the power to vote in the other provinces of the nation. And I've heard that a Québécois here that votes has at least 5 times more points than any other citizens in Canada in other provinces. And it could go up to even 20 times the impact in the voting system. Is that true?
Yes, it's very true when it comes to leadership races, which is actually where we're at right now in the timeline in Canada. We probably won't have another general election for 3 years. And so I always encourage people to really look at where are we at today and how can you bring your influence to make an impact in the highest way possible today.
That's right.
You know, and Carlos, you talk about all those different things. You know, so many people don't know that you can abort a baby right up until the point of birth, and that taxpayers pay for this. So many people don't know about the debt, that this is the reason why we're seeing inflation.
Inflation going up so much. Everything's high.
Yes.
Gas is high and whatnot. Food also.
100%. And people also don't know that all across Canada, you know, whether it's airline pilots or doctors or nurses or parents, that we are being pressured to do things that break our conscience.
Exactly.
Things that go against our faith, things that go against our conscience. So we are living in a time that no generation has seen in recent history in Canada.
And I find it so fast. It's happening so quickly.
It is true, and it's alarming. And I know this because we watch it, right?
For sure.
We watch kind of what's been happening. And so many people, I've been traveling through Quebec. We've been up in Quebec City, different places in Montreal. We'll be in Sherbrooke this week as well. And so many people are saying, you know, I love the nation. I love Quebec. I love my children. You know, I love my freedoms, you know. But I'm concerned, you know, when we see bank accounts being canceled.
Absolutely, frozen or whatnot.
Exactly, and even, you know, the footage that came out of Ottawa of the little lady that was trampled by the police.
By the horse.
Yeah, these are very jarring images for people. And so people are saying, I love the nation, I love Quebec, I love the future, but I don't know what I can do. And so, you know, Carlos, I was shocked because earlier this year, I was asking the same question, you know, what can we really do? And I felt curious about how we got the current leaders we have in Canada. So I began to
do some research.
And I actually researched about Justin Trudeau.
Okay.
You know, so he became a member of Parliament out of Quebec in Papineau in 2008. And then in 2013, he put his name forward to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party. And Carlos, what a lot of people don't know is that only 81,000 Canadians voted in that leadership race to determine that Justin Trudeau would be the leader of the Liberal Party, and this meant that his name would be on the ballot going against Prime Minister Harper, Stephen Harper, in 2015. And so what I realized is that traditionally only 0.2, it's a very small number, only 0.2% of Canadians who get involved in leadership elections, they're the ones that determine the names on the ballot. And
so their decision to vote, even though they're a small number of people voting compared to 30 million, over 30 million Canadians that we are in terms of the nation. So this 0.2% actually decided how 30 million people will live.
The 0.2% decided the choices that Canadians would have on the ballot in the general election. So they decided that Justin Trudeau's name would be on the ballot. But the same thing with Erin O'Toole. In 2020, it was 90,000 Canadians. And we're going to talk about Quebec here in a moment because the power really lands in Quebec, to a large part. And so in 2020, 90,000 Canadians voted that Erin O'Toole would be the name on the ballot. You know, and many Canadians were disappointed with Erin O'Toole because they felt like he didn't really take a stand for Canadians against some of the Liberal policies. And even we go back to last December, it was actually Erin O'Toole who put forward the bill that could put pastors into prison.
It's outrageous.
Yeah, he was the one who said, let's push this forward without debate.
He was supposed to be, you know, uplifting and protecting conservative values. I mean, this is opposite to what people expected from him.
Absolutely. And so people thought, okay, where is the opposition? You know, because a healthy parliament has opposition, right?
Absolutely.
And so that the leader
balance power.
Exactly. So the leader can't just run and do anything. And so I was literally shocked, Carlos, to discover that that Erin O'Toole was put on the ballot by only 0.2% of Canadians. And when you
So it's the same principle.
Yeah, exactly. It was 90,000 that put Erin O'Toole on the ballot. It was 81,000 that put Justin Trudeau on the ballot just because they participated in a leadership race.
That's right.
And this is significant because we're in a leadership race again.
Exactly. So the opportunity presents itself again.
It's massive. And so if people care about things like the issue of life and abortion, they care about keeping pastors out of jail, they care about just the rights of parents to raise their children in accordance with their conscience.
Without being punished.
Exactly. The right to speak freely on social media, to do a Facebook Live.
Without being censored.
Exactly. Or to do a live stream. And so these are the things that are hanging in the balance. And so let's talk about Quebec.
Yes.
And so because how a leadership election works is every riding all across Canada, whether it's in Alberta or Saskatchewan or New Brunswick or Quebec, gets 100 points. And traditionally, in the conservative leadership race, which is where we're at right now, traditionally, more people vote in the more conservative areas of the nation. So in Alberta, let's say in Medicine Hat, you might have 2,000 people that vote. But those 2,000 people, they only get the value of 100 points. But then you compare that to any riding in Montreal, for example, or Quebec City, or Saint-Hubert, or Sherbrooke. Just pick any riding in Quebec. As a matter of fact, I learned that there's 78 ridings in Quebec, and 60 of those ridings, Pastor Carlos, are expected to have less than 200 people that will vote.
Wow.
So, for example, what's your riding?
My riding is Montreal, I guess.
Okay, so Montreal. So you're riding in Montreal. I know there's several ridings in Montreal.
Most likely Pierrefonds, West Island.
Okay, so statistically, it's expected that only 200 people will vote in your riding. So in your riding, 200 people voting equals 2,000 people voting in maybe Alberta or Saskatchewan, because people will often say, well, Quebec it always goes Liberal, or it always goes NDP, or it always goes Bloc, and so what's the use of me getting involved? Because it always, but people who say that don't understand the system, because if you get involved in the conservative leadership race and you're in a riding that has low engagement because it's NDP, Liberal, or Bloc, that is where your vote is it is so powerful.
It's dynamite.
It is so powerful. And so what we're saying to people in Quebec is that if you care about the future, if you care about our freedoms, if you care about having a true opposition in the Parliament of Canada that will stand up for Canadians, for freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, parental rights, the value for life, whatever it is that you care about, this is the most important time. But I find, Carlos, people say, I never heard this. I just didn't know.
There's a lot of people that they're not aware of that.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted you to come and express it, because we need to understand that we still have a way to make a difference. And the question I have for you, and even for, I'm saying for the audience itself, for the person that does not believe that they're able to make a difference in what's happening, what can you tell them?
Well, I would say
they don't believe in the political process. They don't believe in fairness and what's happening. They don't think their votes will matter. What do you say to them?
Well, I would say if you really want to make a difference, you need to be strategic. And in a general election, so that's when most people vote. Most people only vote in the general election.
Got it.
In a general election, your vote is maybe 1 out of 20,000. But in a leadership race,
for a specific party.
For a specific party, which will determine who the name is on the ballot.
That's right.
Right? In a leadership election, your vote will be 1 out of 200 if you live in Quebec.
Understand.
And so most likely, statistically. And so what I'm saying is, if you really care, if you really want to be powerful, get involved at the leadership.
At that phase.
Get involved at that phase, because that's where you'll have the highest impact.
Got it.
For your vote. Now, but you do need to be a member, because it's not a general election.
For sure.
It's it's an election for a party. So just like in your church or in your business, only the shareholders have a vote.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So you need to be part of it.
Right.
So that you can have an impact whatsoever.
Yeah, but you can determine the name that is on the ballot in 2015, and so you can influence the options that Canadians will have. But if you just wait till the general election,
it's already too late.
It's already too late.
So that's why you took the time to express the history of Justin Trudeau, his process, where he started.
Yes.
We're not talking lately. We're talking in the 2008.
That what people did in 2013 determined the prime minister that we have in 2015, 19, and 2021, which brings us to today, right? Now, obviously, there's still the power of the general election, but the greatest power is for those who get involved right now at the leadership level.
So, in terms of this power that we have as citizens, especially as Québécois,
Oui.
to have an impact on the rest of the nation,
Oui.
what can we do? Pragmatically speaking, what's to be done and how to do it?
Well, it's very important to realize that the deadline is Friday.
This Friday, right here?
Friday, June the 3rd.
The 3rd.
And so if you're not a member by June the 3rd, you cannot vote.
Exactly.
Now, the good news is people were like, well, I don't even know who the candidates are. Why would I want to sign up? I don't even know who I'll vote for. And I say, it's okay, because the actual election isn't until September the 10th. And so people can sign up to get their membership
That's
to
right.
vote, and they can still take the time to learn about the candidates. And as a matter of fact, Carlos, through our organization, For My Canada, we are producing a voter's guide.
Nice.
So a lot of times people want to know, okay, where does this candidate stand on the vaccine mandates?
And their policies that they have,
Where do
that they want to implement.
Exactly. Where do they stand on parent rights? Where do they stand on the issue of life and abortion? Yeah, and so we will put a voter's guide out.
Nice.
And so if people sign up by Friday and they get their membership, then they have it in their pocket.
Exactly. So then they're free to choose.
They're free
afterwards,
to choose,
but at
right.
least they got their foot in.
Yeah, but
behind-
no membership, no vote.
Because it's too late.
Because it's too late.
So when you say the deadline is the 3rd of June, is it
Yes.
the 3rd of June, 11:59 p.m.?
Eastern Standard Time,
Okay.
but I tell people don't risk it. Don't wait till the end, because you don't know, the website might be flooded, the website could
It's free.
crash.
So
your
act today.
your internet might go down, something like this. So yeah, and we're encouraging people to sign up through formycanada.ca. There's en français, there's a francophone page. You can sign up in French. And
Very nice.
and then if you sign up through our site and go all the way through to the checkout, you'll get the voter's guide.
Nice.
And I would love to come back. Maybe we can talk about, okay,
Absolutely.
where does Dr. Leslyn Lewis stand on
Yes,
this? Where
yes.
does Pierre Poilievre stand on this? And really bring information to the people.
And I think it's instrumental because a lot of people, they're not really astute when it comes to politics. They're not really following politics, even though politics are very much involved in our daily lives, even not understanding the full dynamics of politics. I think it's an instrument for us to be able to see where everybody stands in terms of leadership and to make a vote that will count towards our values.
And I tell people, Carlos, you don't have to be political all the time. You know, you don't have to be crazy about politics every day of the week. But it is very important if you care about your freedoms.
Yes.
You know, I'm a mother. I care about my children.
Yes.
If you care about the future, it's critical.
Absolutely.
Especially if you live in Quebec.
Yes.
To get involved in these very strategic moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Where just a few votes
exactly can shift
can
the whole thing.
shift the whole nation. And
Wow.
I believe there's a very real possibility, probability, that the voters in Quebec
Yes.
will determine who the next conservative leader is, and that the next conservative leader will determine who the next prime minister is.
Yes.
And the next prime minister will determine whether Canada is just given over to global agendas of,
Yes.
you know, digital ID, carbon tracing
Absolutely,
your whole
absolutely.
life, you know,
Yeah.
shutting down a church
Yes.
if they don't agree with the government.
And imposing measures and taxes because of climate change issues and whatnot.
So much is at stake, and so we have to decide right now
Absolutely.
who we want to be on the ballot in 2025, because who's on the ballot in 2025 will determine our future as a nation. It's so important, and I believe it hangs in the palm
Of the Québécois
of
people.
the Quebecois people, most likely.
Wow. I've heard experts on politics say that, you know, after a few years of being influenced or governed by a certain party, people become tired of that party. So the logical tendency afterwards would be to expect a vote towards the Conservative Party because of having been involved and exposed for so many years to a liberal regime.
Yeah, it is true that the history of our nation is that we swing back and forth, which means it's very likely that we will swing back to a conservative government.
Like it or not.
Yeah, which means who the conservative leader matters which means between now and Friday at 11:59,
Wow.
whoever wakes
In
up.
a way, strategically speaking, that would determine
Yeah.
in some way
Honestly,
the next leader of the nation.
it is not a stretch to say that what happens between now and 11:59 on Friday night could determine the future of Canada.
Wow. Wow. And that's important to really grasp in terms of concept.
Yeah, it's critical. And what I say to people is you really have nothing to lose.
It's true.
It's only $15.
Yeah.
You know, it's only a few minutes of your time to sign up. But if I'm right, and if the people that wake up to this between now and 11:59 on Friday night, if they are the ones that will choose the path for our nation,
incredible.
It really matters that we get our message out, because, you know, maybe we're wrong, and if we're wrong, it's only $15. But if we're right,
that's right,
and we don't take action, we will live in regret.
Then we lose much more than $15.
We lose much more than $15, and we live in regret, saying, how did we get this?
Exactly.
How did we get here?
Exactly.
So we have to think from the future backwards.
I understand.
That we're voting right now for the Canada that we will have probably in 2025.
Got it.
It's critical, but time is short. And so I'm telling people, don't just sign up for yourself, but if you know, your family, your like-minded friends and loved ones, if they care about the issues of freedom, of the sanctity of life, of parental rights, don't delay. Go to formycanada.ca. Get your membership. Just get it zipped up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just get your membership. Tell your friends. Oh, and also anyone who's 14 or older can vote.
Can vote.
This is very important. If people have a son or a daughter or a grandson who's 16 or 17.
Even 14?
Yeah, 14, they can vote. And if someone is a permanent resident, so this is very important, because sometimes people who aren't citizens say, oh, I can't be a part of it. Not so. In a leadership race, if you are a permanent resident,
you're able to vote.
As long as you sign up to be a member. Yes.
Excellent. Sounds great. Sounds great. So in terms of the website, is there a way for a person to say, you know, I want to vote, but I want to go further than just voting?
Yes.
I want to be able to influence people to think and to be aware of the information. Can someone become, for example, a mobilizer or somewhat?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, now we're at the 11th hour, so we're just telling people, just use your influence, call your friends.
Networks, call your friends, send messages,
email,
texts.
And just go for it. But if people sign up to be a mobilizer when they go through our site, then we will be in contact with them. We have a team right here in Quebec that our good friend is leading. And so they'll be invited to be a part of that team.
Excellent.
So even beyond Friday, they can continue to work together to impact Quebec with their views and values.
Sounds great.
It's critical.
Tell me, Faytene, if you had something to convey as we get to a close today, what would it be for us in terms of information that you think is critical for us to hear?
I guess I would share from my heart, Carlos. You know, I'm a mother, as I mentioned. I love my children.
Yes.
I've never been away from my children for more than 2 days. And this message, I feel, is so important, that I have been traveling the whole nation, prioritizing Quebec.
For sure.
And by the time this is done, I will be away from my children for 2 months.
Wow.
And my husband and I really felt like, you know what? We need to fight for the future of our nation, because what we do today will affect not only our future, but it will affect our children.
Absolutely.
And so we need to love our children and love our neighbor enough to get involved. It's not about us. It's not about being political. It's about saying, okay, I have the power to do something that will impact the future of my nation. And if I love my children, if I love Quebec, if I love my future, it is foolish for me not to discern the opportunity and to take the small investment of just $15 and a few minutes to vote, because we can be a part. This is why we're wearing the buttons, right?
Exactly.
0.2% will decide.
Which makes the difference. It makes the difference, the whole difference.
100%. And so that would be my closing statement, is that I cannot over-express how important this moment is to the future for our nation. And our nation is our children.
Absolutely. And some people say our children are the future. But actually, it's our present as well. I mean, we want to make sure that our children are safe. They live in a free country. They have the right to choose. They have the right to think, and the right to say no. Or else, it's a form of bullying, really.
Yeah.
And Canada has been looked at as a country for freedom for so many people out there, and right
Carlos,
now Canada is not a symbol of freedom anymore.
And Carlos, so many of us came to Canada for freedom.
Absolutely.
My ancestors, they fled Stalin in Russia in 1930.
Yes.
They came to Canada for freedom. I don't know your story.
Well, we come from Haiti, where there's a lot of political upheaval. There's a lot of poverty and precarity, and it's induced because of the corruption within the government. So a lot of our people from Haiti, come from a context where they wanted more opportunities. They wanted a better future for their own children. So they came here in Quebec and in Canada with that hope.
Oui.
And now things are shifting so fast, and I don't believe the people, even from our communities, understand that the Canada they knew is no longer the Canada that is today.
Yeah,
already.
And also that the Canada we have today is because of what happened in 2013. And the Canada we will have tomorrow will be because of what happens in the next couple of days.
Imagine.
Maybe the next couple of hours, depending on when someone is watching
Yes,
this.
we'll make sure to get this message out as soon as possible.
It's
so that
powerful.
a lot of people could hear and mostly act upon it very quickly.
Yes. We don't want to look back with regret.
No, that's for sure.
You need to know that you did everything
that you could in your power to change things.
That's huge.
Whatever the outcome is. Thank you for taking time with us today.
Oh, thank you, Carlos.
And I hope that you'll be able to come by again.
Yeah.
If there's anything that you want to convey, feel welcome to get in touch with us, and we'll make sure to have you.
Thank you, Pastor Carlos.
Thanks a lot.
Very honored.
Thank you very much, Faytene. Alors, vous avez entendu un peu l'entrevue. Ce qu'on est en train de dire, c'est que c'est le temps d'agir promptement. Il nous reste quelques heures avant même la date butoir. On n'a rien à perdre que 15 $, mais on a tout à gagner, en fait, juste avec une implication minimale. Parce que, de toute façon, pour pouvoir voter au niveau de la chefferie, il va falloir être membre d'abord du parti en tant que tel. Et ça, la date arrive à grands pas. Le 3 juin, c'est vraiment la date butoir pour pouvoir agir promptement. Donc, on vous encourage, à la fin même de cette émission, allez sur formycanada.com et enregistrez-vous au Parti conservateur du Canada à travers même ce site-là. Et vous allez avoir beaucoup de bénéfices à le faire de cette façon-là, vous tenir au courant de ce qui s'en vient, de ce qui se passe, etc. Et si on a besoin d'action citoyenne par rapport à certains enjeux, eh bien, on va vous faire part de ce qui se passe pour pouvoir réagir rapidement, promptement. On a besoin d'être optimiste, on a besoin d'être réaliste, oui, mais d'être optimiste aussi. Je vous encourage à laisser tomber le cynisme, ça va nous apporter absolument que dalle, comme disent les Français, ça va rien nous apporter. Au moins faire ce qu'on peut, et qu'importe ce qui arrive, mais au moins on sait qu'on a fait ce qu'on peut et on fait partie à ce moment-là de la solution et non du problème. Et donc on espère que vous avez apprécié l'information et surtout, vous allez partager l'information au plus grand nombre possible. Et donc, c'était une production aujourd'hui d'Informé et Libre. On vous attend en grand nombre par rapport à cette démarche et cette campagne. Que Dieu vous bénisse. À bientôt.